Yo, what is up, guys? So, courtesy of Tobias Boone, he's actually found out how to pull off an FTK with the new zombies, the Mayakashis. So, this is a really easy and consistent FTK. All you basically need to have in your hand is this card. That's it. Like, literally, all you need is this, and more than likely, your hand will let you go ahead and be able to pull off this FTK or OTK. It's basically a deck out. And it's been a while since we had like a deck out FTK, OTK in the game, but this one's really consistent. I knew that someone was going to figure out something broken with the beautiful Mayakashi Daki, because her effect is whenever anything is special summoned from the extra deck, you get to go ahead and special summon her. Well, that is when you're special summoning a Mayakashi monster, which is the only stuff you make in this deck anyways. And then on top of that, Soul Absorbing Bone Tower has that ability to make it so every time a zombie type monster is summoned, your opponent sends 2 cards from their deck to their graveyard. But it's pretty easy to summon this card over and over, and because you're summoning one monster, you're going to be able to go ahead and summon Daki every single time you go for a Synchro. I'm just going to go ahead and do another like play over here, even though that one's pretty fast. It's the same concept, basically. But anyways, pretty much what the effect of Daki is over here. So unfortunately this time he didn't open up with Foolish, so this is still going to be an OTK because you're decking them out. Although this one is not an FTK, but I'll talk about consistency in a second. But yo, Tobias Boone, you figured out something that I don't think anyone has figured out yet. But anyways, like I said, guys, it's pretty broken. It's pretty easy to pull off. All you need is this card. You can run Call of the Mummy, and you can run like Alert of Darkness. There's a lot of other cards that we'll talk about once we get into the deck profile. But it's pretty dirty to run into this because, well, I feel like a lot of people might be interested in trying it. Because at the end of the day, guys, it is a cheesy win condition. However, you're still playing, at the end of the day, Mayakashis anyways. Like, you would be playing, of course, multiple copies of Daki, you would be playing the Synchros anyways, and you would be playing copies of Book of Life. It just makes it so you have the potential to beat your opponent instantly. So every time you go for a Mayakashi monster from the extra deck, you get to resummon her. It's infinite times. There's no like limit on her. And once you kind of exhaust your limit, all you do is go into the Mayakashi Link monster, and then you just obviously still have her because it's a monster from the extra deck. Then you can activate Book of Life, Reborn. There's a lot of zombie support cards, but basically you can have another Book of Life if you need to go for it. You don't have to have it. There's a lot of other options in the deck, but basically it's a simple concept because, well, Soul Absorbing Bone Tower, that old school card, making it come back in 2018. But anyways, I'm going to go over the deck profile real quick. It's a pretty short little vid here. But anyways, important things here. So to briefly explain the combo for those of you guys that maybe didn't understand it, Soul Absorbing Bone Tower sends to every time a zombie type monster is special summoned, your opponent has to send the top 2 cards of their deck to the graveyard. And that is a zombie monster on the field is summoned. Doesn't matter if it's your field. But this card also has another effect where if you control another zombie type monster, your opponent can't target this card for attacks, but pretty much it's not going to be the main focus of this. The main focus of this card is basically the FTK or OTK. So Daki over here has the effect where you can only control one of her, but when a Mayakashi monster is special summoned from the extra deck to the field, while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can't special summon monsters from the extra deck except for Mayakashi's the turn you activate this effect, except for Mayakashi monsters. So basically, you go into any real Synchro monster or the Link monster, you bring back the card, then you go ahead and keep summoning cards from the extra deck over and over and over. Each one of these cards acts as a stepping stone because this card is level 2. So we have a level 3, we have a 5, a 7, and a 9, and an 11. So basically you go through all of these, then you go for the Link card because that's going to be obviously going to give you not only that extra zone, but that's also going to give you the ability to maybe survive if you don't pull off the FTK. But more than likely, you're just going to go ahead and go into this card, summon another zombie, and because this card is from the extra deck anyways, you're going to be able to have this card for free again. And then you just go ahead and re-loop everything, and you just special summon a monster via Book of Life. You can 1-for-1, double summon, whole charge. There's a lot of options here. You can even go for World Legacy Inheritor. So lots and lots of options for this deck. In fact, I was thinking that you can make this deck even more consistent with cards like Alert of Darkness. You don't really need this card. You don't really need, multiple copies of this card. You don't really need multiple copies of, Soul Absorbing Bone Tower. So why not just throw in cards like Alert of Darkness? You can throw in cards like Called by the Grave. So if your opponent activates anything to disrupt your combo, you can go ahead and just say no to them. But at the end of the day, you're still playing the deck. I mean, it's still like a viable competitive deck. I remember when Monarchs would just go into Monarch FTK, right? The Magical Explosion. They would side deck into that. And they still could function as like a regular deck even then. But anyways, Mayakashi Revolt is really what makes this deck so easy to pull this off. All you need is Soul Absorbing Bone Tower. Everything else is searchable. You have the Mayakashi Revolt, which lets you just search out any Mayakashi card, or you can actually Foolish one. There's also this card that lets you just discard one card, so that's an easy way to get docking to the graveyard. Also, you can just discard any excess card that you want to. It's pretty simple concept, but yeah, basically, let's go over to the deck profile real quick, since I kind of already explained like how to pull it off. It's just these monsters effects don't really matter too much, but once this one dies, you can go to like get a lower one. But I recommend you guys, if you guys want to see how Mayakashis can function, and if you want to build this deck, I still recommend you guys to check out like the previous video I did on Mayakashis, which talks about the archetype and basically how the deck functions, which I'm going to link in the pinned comment. In the pinned comment, so you guys can check out how the Mayakashis can kind of play without the FTK, but they still can definitely function like a normal deck. I'm gonna give you guys the deck profile in case you guys wanted it. Like I said, there are some choices that I would make as suggestions, but anyways, we got Exodius, double Exodius, 2 copies of the Skeleton Mayakashi. This is the discard one other Mayakashi to special summon this card from your hand, and then we have Shafu. So once normal or special, you get target one, and then special summon it, negates its effect, but it doesn't matter because the effect's gonna be in the graveyard. Then we have 3 copies of Soul Absorbing Bone Tower, which is the card that you need to pull this off. We're playing 2 copies of Daki, then we're playing 3 copies of the Poison Mayakashi. So basically, if you don't control one of them, but if a Mayakashi monster, except for itself, is destroyed by battle by card effect while it's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, and then you cannot special summon monsters from the extra the turn that you activate this effect, except for Mayakashis, which is pretty much the whole archetype, so don't even worry about that because that's all you got in the extract. Anyways, then we have 3 copies of Hajun, so this card's actually really important. So if this card is normal or special, you get to special summon 1 Mayakashi monster from your deck. So pretty much the only card you need is this, and then you're going to completely go off because, well, this card and this card. And this card is even a tune that keeps on coming back. So obviously that's pretty easy. You go 2, well, this is the 2 and the 1 go into 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Again, the stepping stones are 2 in this. And 3 cards of Book of Life. Once you go for your reset combo of the Icicle Mayakashi, that way you can re-go through all your cards. So basically, if you think about it this way, majority of people will be playing 40 cards in their deck. At that point, there's 35 cards, you know, at the start of their turn. That's what they're going to have usually if we're pulling off an FTK here. And at that point, you just got to pull it off enough times. I mean, whatever the math is on that. I'm bad at math, but you guys can figure it out. That's pretty easy because every time you're summoning, that's 4 different cards. So this would be like, for example, as soon as you go for Soul Absorbing Bone Tower, there might be like 1 other summon that you go for. So at that point, you'd have like 2. And then every time you go for a Synchro summon, you're going to get 2 off the Synchro. And then an additional 2 off of the Daki over here. Oh, we're playing 3 Daki, sorry. I had 1 over there. I was kind of questioning why you'd only play 2 at one point. But anyways, so yeah, it's like 4 every single time. So you basically would need a special summon. What is that? Because you get 2 off of the initial first summon of Absorbing Bone Tower. So that's like, what is that? You subtract like, maybe like 5. I don't know. You'd probably need to summon it, like not even 10 times. What is that? 8-ish times, which is pretty easy in this deck. You just go, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is going to be the 6th, and then you activate whatever, like get back another monster or double summon, and then you can continue all your combos, and you basically reset the entire thing. And at that point, it's easy. You either need double summon or Book of Life, and basically just this. These are like the difficult cards to open up with. You don't need both. It just needs to be either or, and then basically everything searches out everything anyways. Because this one's supposed to, Hajun summons anyone, which is going to be, of course, Daki every single time anyways. But anyways, there's a lot of variance with this. But anyways, sorry, I just wanted to kind of go off on a tangent there. Anyways, 3 copies of Book of Life, 1 copy of 1 for 1, 3 copies of Double Summon, 1 Soul Charge, 1 Foolish, 1 Reborn, 1 copy of World Legacy Inheritor, 2 copies of Zombie Necroise. So this one lets you target, well, if a 5 or higher zombie monster is on the field, you target 1 monster your opponent controls and you get to take control of it. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle 1 of your banished zombie monsters in the deck, and then you get to set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So that's kind of cool that you can basically take control over your monsters, basically like brain control. I don't know how I feel about these, honestly. Like, they might be a little bit too slow. That's the way I see it. But, I mean, you can maybe run like Dark Hole or Regeki to maybe prevent some other monster effects from activating. We also have Twin Twisters here at 1. 3 Mayakashi Revolt, then Twin Twisters, and then 3 copies of the Return of the Mayakashi. This one lets you discard a card, target one of your Mayakashi monsters that's banished or in your graveyard to special summon. If you do, your opponent can't target it with card effects this turn, and you can only activate one of them per turn, and then you can only go for Mayakashis, but it's not really a downside. Anyways, I feel like maybe you could potentially drop some of these cards, like I said before. I feel like some of these cards are too slow, because like you're just going to go for the FTK anyways. I would probably suggest more cards like even I think it's Called by the Mummy. Let me give you some suggestions. Call of the Mummy, which just lets you once per turn you can special summon a zombie type monster from your hand. You must control no monsters to activate and resolve this effect. So that just lets you get your first summon out. It's almost like double summon. I'm getting another copy of that, but it gives you options for other things. You can run Call of the Mummy. You can also run cards like Allure of Darkness. Maybe some more. There's alternate artwork. Or it's just like spells, like what, speed duel or something like that. Maybe remove some of the cards that you might not need multiple copies of. Let's see. I mean, you could mix and match whatever. You want one of these, one of those. Obviously, you want to run as many of these as possible. Even though, like, you don't actually want to turn. If you want to, maybe you could drop it because you're gonna have more draw power, anyways. With Book of Life, you can activate as many as you want. However, keep in mind though that your opponent does have to have a monster in the graveyard, so you might not be able to activate this turn one unless they go for a hand trap, which at that point we can talk about Called by the Grave, which can stop their hand traps. But, you know, mix and match, do what you want to do. For extra deck, just throw in all 3 copies of every single Mayakashi and you're pretty much good to go. You only need 2 of these ones because this is basically just used to reloop everything. But anyways, I ranted long enough. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the zombie FTK. It's pretty broken. I'd say it's pretty easy to pull off, but really consistent. And at the end of the day, you're still playing an actual Yu-Gi-Oh deck. That's why it makes it broken. A lot of these FTK decks, they're very cheesy and they have like one win condition. If it doesn't work, then they just lose. But this one, the deck can still play. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the vid, and thank you Tobias again once for the replay as well as the deck profile, man. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the vid. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to be updated with the latest crazy Yu-Gi-Oh combos like this one, like the new Zombie Mayakashi FTK. But if you guys got any cool replays, feel free to go ahead and send them in at AzneyesReplays@gmail.com. But thanks for watching. Peace out and have a good one. And I'm out.